Last week, it was a tough loss, and to come in this week, man, mentally locked in, ready to roll, right mindset. It was a back and forth game, but I thought all three phases we complemented each other, and really came out, to finish this season off the right way and get a win. And now we've done all we can do to this point, as far as now we wait and see what happens, but we got an opportunity to get the two depending on these games after us. So I was really, really proud of the guys, really proud of them.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. We're out at Feldman in Novi, and man, feels like we're here. We've had a lot of fun at Feldman this year. We've had a lot of Victory Mondays, 12 of them to be exact. Now, I wasn't alive the last time the Detroit Lions won 12 games, but Sam Flannel, the last time they won 12 games, the football gods, we were gifted with a playoff win.
Yes.
I do think they get the same thing this year. We got the opponent, Los Angeles Rams. But how you feeling this morning, Sam Flannel?
I'm feeling great. Obviously, I think this is one of those days where, as much as we're kind of turned the page to going to playing a home game against the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford coming back to Ford Field to try to ruin Lions fans' dreams. I understand all of that. But before we do any of that, can we just appreciate how fun and great of a regular season this has been? Us Lions fans are just not used to this. I mean, Jeff, you weren't even born the last time they had 12 wins. I was just a mere baby the last time they had 12 wins. It's just none of us really know what this is like. And it's just been so much fun to cover it, so much fun to watch it. And no matter what happens, that can't take that away from us, although they really need to win this football game Sunday night. But we'll get to that more during the week.
Yeah, we got the opponents, Los Angeles Rams, and we'll break that down more in depth throughout the week. We'll take our time with that one. It is the day of the national championship game, which is already significant. We're going to break Michigan-Washington down more so in the second hour. I want to spend time, at least right now, most of the first hour, breaking down some of what we saw from the game, some of the storylines. We'll get to the Sam LaPorta stuff in a couple of minutes as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 1,500 yards, double-digit touchdowns. I mean, he exceeded even my expectations. 1,500 yards, and he missed a game.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the real deal. But we'll get to the Sam LaPorta stuff because I do want to get into it because I know yesterday was controversial. We had the live stream, the watch party, we had the pregame show. And it seems like the conversation this week, Sam, with the starters has been, get those guys out healthy, which I 100% agree. That should be your goal going into the last game of the year. The Lions, though, are a little bit different than other teams because they still, number one, had an opportunity to get the 2 seed. But also on top of that, Dan Campbell already came out and spoke on what he believes in. He's going to play these guys a majority of this game, and he did that. He played his starters. Now, for people that were coming out, and I had this conversation with Booner yesterday about Sam LaPorta, and remember, Sam LaPorta got hurt in the first half. So even if you were in the camp of, and by the way, the score was only, 13-6 in the first half. So if you're one of those people that were like, well, he should have been rested in the second half, he was already hurt. And if you're on the side of, well, he should have never played at all, that was never realistic to me, okay? And I'll tell you why. The Lions came into that game without already Brock Wright. So they had 2 tight ends in that football game. Dan Skipper, you saw him line up. He was eligible.
Yes, he was.
And he caught a football.
Let's go.
But there was no possibility he was not going to play at all. Because they only had 2 tight ends. And, of course, you need a certain amount of players on game day. And it's just unfortunate. It's a freak injury. It's not like Sam LaPorta has been banged up all year, dealing with all these different types of injuries. I mean, maybe you can make the case if a guy like a Frank Ragnow went down, you're like, well, he's got the inoperable toe injury. He's dealing with injuries. He should have never played. Sam Flannel, the loss of Sam LaPorta hurts. It does. But this is also a team, and this isn't to discount anything Sam LaPorta is doing. He is a historically great rookie tight end. What he's doing, he broke the reception record too. But they went 8-2 down the stretch last year without him. So it's not like because Sam LaPorta's hurt, everything's over, burn it all, we're losing. I don't want people to think like that. I just think it was never realistic to expect, because hindsight's always 20/20, right? You should have never played. Guys, he got hurt in the first half, and there's nothing you could do. Injuries happen. It's unfortunate. But for the most part, the Lions got out of that game healthy. They won. They won 12 games. Unfortunately, the Cowboys didn't lose, so you're still the 3rd seed. But here we go. This is football. So I wanted to get that out of the way. I wanted your thoughts on the whole Sam LaPorta storyline and him going down.
Yeah, well, obviously that was the one thing from yesterday's game that kind of put a damper on everything, because I do think Sam LaPorta's loss, however long it may be, could be costly, because he was Jared Goff's second favorite target all season long, and in some games his first favorite target, and you could argue he was the best tight end in the NFL as a rookie and had a historically great tight end season for a rookie. That's all well and good. My thing is, I do think the Lions can overcome this, although it's not going to be easy. And also, if the Lions had nothing to play for in the standings, there was no possibility of them moving up a seed or down a seed or anything like that, I would be livid today. I would be livid with Dan Campbell and everything. I'd be like, what the F were you guys doing? But the reality is that the Lions did have a chance to move up to the 2 seed, which means you are guaranteed 2 home playoff games, as long as you win the first one, of course, but you would play your second. You would play the divisional round at home, and then who knows, maybe even play the NFC Championship game at home if the 49ers were to lose. But that's and the thing is, 2 out of the 3 things that needed to happen actually happened. The Lions won. The Eagles got dog-walked by the New York Giants, which the Eagles, man, they look really, really bad. Yeah, thank you, New York Giants. Unfortunately, the Washington Commanders and Lucas Klotz's Messiah, Sam Howell, did not get the job done, but they had a chance to move up to the 2 seed, so I will not begrudge Dan Campbell for playing his starters. I will not begrudge him for keeping them in even after the Sam LaPorta injury, because at some point, and they said it on the broadcast, you just have to commit. You can't just be like, okay, now that somebody's hurt, you got to get them all out, because if you're going to do that, if you're going to play your starters, you might as well win. Because if you do that and lose, disaster. But they did what they could do to try to get the 2 seed, and just the Washington Commanders wouldn't comply. That's all.
Yeah, and then you had Carson Wentz. Win over the 49ers, Sam Darnold, Lucas Klotz's guy. Yeah, it's your guy, Lucas Klotz. You claim him. They lost, so, of course, the Rams are the matchup here. But I want to say this, too, on the 49ers, because people would be quick to say, well, Campbell messed this up. You should have went in that game with just 1 tight end. Had Dan Skipper as your other tight end. Dan Campbell. He failed the Lions fan base by not keeping Sam LaPorta healthy. Well, ask the 49ers. They had Debo, Ayuk, Trent Williams all playing. But the difference is, did those guys get hurt? No, so no one cares. But if one of those players went down, of course, they'd be talking about it. So listen, Sam LaPorta, for the majority of this year, has been healthy. So if he walked out of that game unscathed, no one will be talking about it. It's unfortunate. Khalif Raymond went down as well. He's a big one because of what he does in special teams. He was making plays out there. It's unfortunate, but guess what? Who's available? Zach Ertz, who I wouldn't mind at all bringing him in. That's a guy who's played in a lot of playoff games, and not that they – not that he's the reason if they sign him or don't. He'd be the reason they win. But, hey, you get another guy in this tight end room. They brought back late last night Anthony Firksker. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Firksker. I don't know the hell you pronounce his name. Whatever. Backup tight end. They're bringing him up, so they'll have some depth there. But they're going to have James Mitchell step up if they don't bring in Zach Ertz. And he made a couple plays. It stinks, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean,
what are you going to do?
Zach Ertz, I think at this point you probably have to work to get him in, because he is a guy who is nowhere near what he once was, which was at a time one of the better tight ends in the league. He had a couple 1,000-yard seasons, I believe, a couple of 100-reception seasons. He won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, had an impact on that game. I remember he scored a touchdown. So he is somebody that maybe the Lions could look to bring in. I don't necessarily trust James Mitchell, although to his credit, I will give him this on that play where Jared Goff rolled out to his left and threw across his body. It was James Mitchell who made the catch, and at that point the Lions were ahead by 7 and looking to salt away the game. So James Mitchell did make a play, and that was a hell of an athletic play by Jared Goff, by the way, just for the record, for people who think that I hate him. That was very, very, very nice. The thing is, Sam LaPorta, his loss is obviously, it's going to hurt. And it's not as bad as people may have feared, but who knows if he'll even be able to be available for any time in the playoffs. That's not good. But the Lions had something to play for, however unlikely it may have been. And I said it last week. I was willing to take the risk, even though I obviously am upset now, and the air was kind of taken out of Ford Field when Sam LaPorta went down. But I am not going to second-guess Dan Campbell, because they were very, very close to getting the 2 seed. 2 out of the 3 things happened. Just the 1 didn't. But you got to try. You can't. That game was not meaningless and never was meaningless.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. And this comment, John Macru, shout out to the doc. He says, next time Lions need to fight, if anyone steps on St. Brown's ribs. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
That was dirty.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, Amon-Ra St. Brown was tackled and he had a rib injury. No, that was that was from a Vikings player kneeling on his stomach to get up. But St. Brown, he went back in the ball game. He looked healthy. He didn't have 2,000-yard backs, unfortunately, just David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs got close. Yeah. But, hey, those guys got out healthy. I think that's a big part. And the offensive line's healthy. Jared Goff's healthy. St. Brown, he's probably most likely going to play. Jamison Williams will be back. I still have confidence this team can produce. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got a pick on his return. So, defensively, Aiden Hutchinson, 5 sacks in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
He's heating up at the perfect time. So let's get into it. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll talk more about those storylines, what impressed us from the game, maybe what disappointed us, all that and much more. But first,